No, it's they don't. A couple of our jocks up in Rochester, comrade.
Yeah,
you ever heard of Brother Weeze?
Yep. What's that?
You've heard of Brother Weeze, right?
Oh yeah. I say the Kimberly and Beck show or the yeah.
Well, they're
Brother Love.
Yeah. What they said was, I still can't believe they thought they could say that and not like.
Right. Well, you heard what they said.
Oh yeah.
Not that, and let's be honest, I would never say that ever on a microphone, period. I just wouldn't do it, but I'm not going to do anything that could put my other job in jeopardy either. So just want to tell you guys that up front. So there's that. We got some folks streaming in here. And I'll tell you what, are you guys ready to get after it?
Yes.
Let's rock it and roll
it. Let me get my Adobe Audition started. This is by the way, I enjoyed the segment the other night with Pigskin Pete.
Forrest was good.
It was awesome.
I like him back there.
I thought he was pretty good.
I liked him. He was good. I was expecting him to be an unintelligent tater because that's what I'm used to. But he actually was, he's a really smart guy. Like, I said he's a 1% of tater. He actually been a fan for a long time. He is intelligent.
Yep.
I mean, he's it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, thanks to Pigskin Pete for coming on. So anyway, and I think we're ready to go. So let's get after it. Welcome into the latest edition of the Rob, Comrade, and Kale Show. I am Rob Sanders, your host. I'm laughing because my wife is standing in front of me battling her Blizzard from Sonic that she got last night that she put it in the freezer. I don't know why that's amusing as hell to me, but my wife in the kitchen battling and she just dropped it on the floor. That's funny. Anyway, a little bit of life inside the Sanders household here. My name is Rob Sanders. I represent the Clemson Tigers on this podcast. Of course, we have a couple of co-hosts. One is quite possibly, especially here lately, the most hated man on Facebook. He is the comrade, Mike Dobreski. Mike, good evening, sir.
It is good to be here. It's great to be a Gamecock, and I'm proud of what my alma mater stands for and what it doesn't stand for. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough. We have a third person that is part of our show. He is, of course, my friend and yours. And from what I gather, he is not as hated as the comrade, but he's coming to it tonight as Jackpot Justice. But he is Carolina Jackpot on Twitter, or I'm not on Twitter, on YouTube, which you should be following that channel anyway. But if you're not, go and check that out. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Cale Hall. Cale, welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome. Good to be here. Great to be a Gamecock. Wednesday night, my second favorite night of the week. And, like you said, if you're not following the Carolina Jackpot channel, if you've been living under a rock for a while or, just now coming out of the closet, wherever you're doing, make sure you go hit that go give us a view. We dropped a video today talking about the football magazines that came out earlier this week and predictions for Gamecocks and some other teams in the SEC East. And I give my opinion on said predictions. Very good stuff.
We're going to talk about a lot of different things tonight. By the way, I haven't talked to Cale about this, but I'm just assuming this is going to be okay with him. For folks that listen to the podcast, Cale's football videos, I may convert them from YouTube and actually drop them in the podcast feed. So you might get bonus shows throughout the week. Like I watched Cale's bit today on what he was talking about, where the preseason magazines have nothing but hatred for Gamecocks. And I thought that's a pretty good piece of football knowledge there. So if that's okay with you, Cale, I
That
would
would
like to
be
drop those in the podcast feed.
not only it would be more than okay.
I don't want you to think we're just
If
making you our
if that's
whore,
possible.
Kale. We don't want you to think that you're our whore, Kale. We don't want to do that to you.
Hey, whatever works.
All right, so be watching because if I catch them and Kale puts out a good football video, which he normally does previews and stuff like that, we can you might catch a bonus show. So sometimes with some folks, it's hard to sit down and watch the YouTube channel, but with this, they come straight to your phone. And what in the blue hell is that just flew through your screen there, Kale?
It's a cat.
It looked like a fucking raccoon. Did you feed that thing? Oh, it's a cat.
Yeah,
Okay.
that thing is big.
Yeah, I
feed
feed it. I feed him quite often.
What are you feeding him? Beef? That's a big ass cat, Kale.
feeds some other cats.
Show and tell. What is your cat's name, Kale?
Calvin.
Calvin? That's a big ass cat.
He's a kitten, man. He's not real
Look
big.
at that cat, daughter Scarlet. What is that? That's a big ass cat. Oh, he's got his ears back. He's not happy, Kale.
Oh well, bye.
Oh, Abby. Anyway, I want to thank our sponsors. We'll start with Callaway's Bar and Grill out in West Columbia, Highway 1 diagonal from the Walmart. Also, you got to go and check them out. They're wide open now. And you can go by and have some great beer, great wings, all kinds of great food at Callaway's Bar and Grill.com. Retro video games and more, all at Callaway's. By the way, I write trivia there. We do on Saturday nights, so you can come by and check us out for trivia. Since Kale has his cat, here's mine. It's the Harambe cat. Yeah, look at Harambe.
Sweetheart.
Yeah, well, she's a kitten.
Sweetheart.
Your cat looks like she would eat her.
That cat, it kills something almost every night. It spends half the night outside and it kills moles and birds, and I'm just waiting on a snake. Sure that's coming. Summertime.
Yeah, well, Comrade has a couple of cats. Clem and Cocky, right?
Clem and Cocky, yep. 2 cats
Very
and 2
good.
dogs.
Well, we're going to get into some stuff tonight. I want to, first of all, go to DNC Trucking and Transport, the No Spin Zone segment with the Comrade. Comrade, read away.
All right, hold on. I pulled it up. All right. I stand at 5'7" tall, a full 7 inches shorter than Dennis Wilson. It sucks to be a Gamecock. I wish I had a man with the character that Dabo Sweeney has to run my football program. It has been 2,377 days since my Pittsburgh team won over our rival in our Super Bowl. We should send Frank Martin to Clemson, where he will be appreciated. I am the reason Cale Hall pisses in his sink. It is utterly shameful to be a Gamecock. Go Tigers.
That message courtesy of Dennis Wilson, DNC Trucking and Transport. He is a freight transporter. If you got something that you need hauled somewhere, call Dennis Wilson. He'll hook you up. You can find Dennis on Facebook, and Dennis is just an all-around good guy. All right, so the big headline tonight is Clemson a racist program? And I want to bring this up because there's a lot of people that are on the national front that think this. But before we get into this, I want to put something out there. Can I have about 90 seconds, gentlemen? Is that all right?
Go ahead.
All right.
I will time you.
What?
Okay. I was going to time you. I was just joking.
Here's the thing. On my blog page at foxsportsradio1400.com, I posted the news story yesterday where the young man that was a former wide receiver at Clemson, the stuff that, as Dennis would say, thank you, Dick Dulé, watching the show, hot commodities relocation engineer. So anyway, but yesterday I posted the story about the stuff that the young man, is it Kelvin Tuttle was his name. And he put out there that there were racial slurs slung at a Clemson practice. And he didn't name the coach, but Zach Galea, which was one of the young men that tested positive for Osterine, he came and basically affirmed what Mr. Tuttle had said before. Now, I posted that in a bunch of Clemson fan groups that I'm in, and I was basically taken to task. I had people messaging me in my DMs pissed. And I mean, just pissed off. Like they were in a cult about how could you possibly say something about this, and how this is just something to try to bring the Clemson football program down. I was called several different bad names. The worst thing I was called was a Gamecock fan. That was the absolute worst. Just things across the board that had no business being thrown at me for me bringing an actual news story. Comrades, you read my post. There was no, I think you'll agree with me, the stuff I put there was factual. Would you agree?
I would agree, and I would post your article throughout Facebook, and they were angry at me for posting the article, like for somehow that they had thought that I had somehow conjured this up, like I was simply just relaying the message.
All right. Well, but the point is that the Clemson faithful, the first thing that came out of their mouths was, there is no way that a Clemson assistant coach said that. Point blank, that did not happen. And they were literally pissed off, saying they were going to call my boss and everything else, and that I should not be spreading lies. Now, I know this is just a small portion of the Clemson football fans. Okay, let me make sure we put that out there. I think everybody will agree with me that every fan base has some cuckoo birds. But when it came back later that I had the second story where we found out who the coach was, who the player was. The player said they worked it out and everything was behind them now because it was 3 years ago. When I posted that, I took another round of beating from folks online, which I'm fine with. I know that's the kind of job that I have. But then the third thing that I posted yesterday was the apology from Coach Danny Pearman, which basically says, oh, goodness, this actually happened, and I'm sorry for it. So I want to say to the members of the Clemson fan base that wanted to come and sling hatred at me for just reporting facts, I hate to break this to you guys. Being a Clemson fan does not mean you're in a cult. Dabo Swinney is not David Koresh, okay? You don't have to bow down to him because he's won national titles and everything else. But you don't have to come back and spew this hatred at me. And it wasn't just at me. They ripped Matt Conley from the state newspaper, who's just a beat writer, for God's sake. They ripped the folks on TigerNet as well, which TigerNet is just a beacon of freaking Clemson all over the place. But that section of the Clemson fan base, shame on you folks. Absolute shame on you folks. It's absolutely disgusting that we all cheer for the same team when you have that attitude, especially when it came out that he did say it. Okay? So my advice to a lot of folks, be careful when you sling stuff, especially at somebody who, and not just me, you may hate me, I don't know, and I don't really care, to be honest with you. I'm doing the best that I can to be somebody that puts out factual knowledge about sports here in the state of South Carolina. Got a 15-year career doing sports, okay? I know how things float around here. I get it. So does Matt Conley at the state. So does several other people. But just because it doesn't float and doesn't make you feel good, if something is going on at Clemson and there is a culture of something going on up there, you want to know about it so you can get rid of it. That's the whole thing. That's why we have people that follow the program and report and try to report unbiased information. Now, we're going to do our thing here tonight where the question is, do you think that there's racial problems at Clemson? I don't think that there's racial problems at Clemson. I believe that Dabo Swinney is a good enough human being, and a lot of the other players that play there would would have come out and said something. Okay. So, Kale, I know Comrade's got a huge thing here. What do you think about what happened yesterday? Go ahead.
I mean, I think that's just something. I think that's probably something that was isolated. I don't think that there's a racial problem there. If there were, I mean, as much spotlight and as much with all the success they've had, you know that the program has to have come under great scrutiny. So because all the eyes are focused on the good programs. I mean, nobody gives a shit about Kansas, you know, or someone that's losing 10 ball games a year. And they're looking at the national championship type programs. And I think that that would have come to light a long time ago if there were some kind of real issue there. So I think it's just some isolated something that, you know, just reared its ugly head, and it probably wasn't taken care of properly in the first place because maybe they didn't think it was the problem. Not really sure. But no.
Comrade, go ahead.
Well, a couple things. The first thing is, obviously, it still bothers some former players. I mean, Greenlee, I mean, he said he's fine with it, but at the same time, he kind of said that he didn't like quite how it was handled. And, of course, the original guy who tweeted it didn't, you know, like at all how it was handled. And, of course, his context was kind of out of place, too. I mean, the actual – and the apology, too, from the coach, you know, if you're going to apologize, let's make sure, you know, I wasn't there. But it sounds like what he's saying – doesn't match up with Greenlee's timeline. What happened? You know, the coach said he was trying to teach Greenlee a lesson, not to say that word, but if you read the actual transcript of what happens, he says it 3 times to him, and it's not to correct him. It sounds like he's frustrated over the fact that, you know, another player asked him what the coach was on him for, and he said that I didn't, you know, fill my gap. And he used the N-word. I didn't block the N. And the coach heard him and it sounded like he was mad that he was kind of, you know, blowing him off and kind of used it 3 times. So that part kind of is sketchy. Shaq Lawson came out, and when Matt Connolly had the report of who the coach was, Shaq Lawson said something to the effect of, "Oh, I figured it was that coach." So, listen, I you know, there's a vibe with that coach, and I don't understand. It seems to me from the outside, just what people are saying, that it was swept under the rug. And if players feel bad how it was handled, I'm not saying you should have fired him, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know.
Well, let's talk about this. What in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of things, I'm yelling at my dog here. What is Dabo Swinney expected to do? I'm not first of all, let me make sure I put this out there. If you're a coach, and by the way, I talked to 3 former assistant coaches one was for an SEC program, one was for a program in the American Conference, and one was for a program from the Pac-12 that are people that I've had on my show before that are coaches at pretty big time programs. Okay. And they told me point blank, that kind of stuff does not happen on the field where they're at now. They did say that there will be language like that that's brought back and forth between players. But as far as coaches using those kinds of words, at least from the guys that I talked to, they said point blank, that doesn't happen. Now, I have to go with the people that are on the field and what they say there. Now, on the same token, if this coach said this stuff and it's something that has been a problem there, then I think that they need to figure out to send him somewhere else. You don't need that kind of stuff in your program, period. But I do lean on this, though. If the young men that were there had a problem with this coach, they should have went to the coach as a man and said something to him. Because that's how I deal with things. If I have a problem with you, I'm going to come and tell you. That's just the way stuff is. But on the other hand, I'm not behind what the coach said at all. And what Mike's saying, there is some validity to it. But what should Dabo Swinney have done? Should he have called a press conference and said, this guy did this, and this is what I did? Do they have to document every bit of what they do as far as stuff like any of this goes with disciplinary action for a coach or a player? I mean, I'm asking you, Mike, as a fair question. Well, what did you expect to do?
Well, according to the players, they weren't happy how it was handled. The ones involved, they weren't happy how it was handled. They're not mad at Dabo. I mean, the one guy seemed like he was kind of, he even said, "You're still my man," but so I'm not there how it was handled. But apparently, it wasn't. They felt he should have been punished in some way. Either, I don't know, hey, you're off practice for a week or whatever it is. And does it come out? I don't know. But maybe you go ahead and have a press conference and say, listen, we suspended Coach so-and-so for the week. He said something racially insensitive, and we had a team meeting, and it's fine now. But it comes out 3 years later, it seems like you're and especially when Dabo is up preaching about how they do things at Clemson. Well, you seem kind of – that's what Jalen Rose said today. He goes, you come out and do all this stuff about how at Clemson we do this, and then we find out 3 years ago this happened and some players weren't happy how you handled it. It seems like you're full of crap.
Okay, but you didn't answer my question. I asked you a real question.
What he should have done?
Should Dabo Swinney have done?
If I wouldn't want him coaching on my team. Because here's the thing, okay? People say he made a mistake. He said the word 3 times. Okay? The word came out 3 times. Now, words don't roll off your tongue unless they're in your vocabulary. Okay? My favorite word to say is the F word. Okay? And I try not to say it on here. I try not to say it around my kids. I try not to say it at my work. But if I get kind of excited or jacked up, that word will run off my mouth. And I'm not going to say, I never said it before. That's part of my vocabulary. I never have to worry about the N word coming out of my mouth. It's not part of it. It's not part of my tongue. The F word is. So when a coach says that he said it 3 times, back to back to back, his mistake, and you got Shaq Lawson say, yeah, I had a feeling it was by that coach. I mean, that's not good. And so now, how much did Dabo know? Now, here's the question. Now, maybe Dabo didn't know that. Maybe Dabo had no clue the players felt that way about that coach. Okay, but the big question is, what's Dabo going to do now? How is he handle it now? Is he going to come out and attack the media? Is he going to be damn media bringing this stuff up 3 years ago? Is he going to do that? Right. Well, I'm asking you, Rob. Okay.
I'm not.
But if you were Dabo, what advice should you give Dabo right now?
For me, if you will answer my question first, what should Dabo Swinney have done? That's a simple question. Don't spin on it. I'm trying to treat you like you're an intelligent human being. Tell me what he should have done.
Apparently, what he did was not the right thing because he's got players who don't think he was handled right. So either Dabo doesn't have a pulse of the team, okay? Because if you say, I had no idea they felt this way, well, then I'm going to question, well, how much do you know your players? If the players don't feel they can go to Dabo and say, listen, I don't feel comfortable as coach, I mean, what does that say? I mean, you tell me. I'm going by what Shaq Lawson said.
Mike,
he said,
I'm just asking you.
Okay.
Once again, I'm not trying to be combative with you. I'm asking you a very simple question.
He would not be on my staff. I would have kicked his ass off. That's what I would have done. Okay, I said that already.
That someone drops
kick his ass off. Yeah,
drops
you
that
say the N-word 3 times in a row.
Fired immediately.
You say it 3 times in a row. And I have a feel that some players feel you're kind of like that way already, according to Shaq Lawson. If I know my team, I'm sorry. when the contract's up, you can go elsewhere. Simple. And when I'm talking about these issues on national TV, and he gets the little tie on and the smile and preacher time,
that's all I wanted from you.
I'm going to say, you know what? We had an incident. I'm not going to name the coach. We had an incident a couple years ago where this happened, and it was a real growing moment for a team. We sat down and we parted ways with the coach, and I'm not going to bring up who it is, but instead, you do the whole. We here at Clemson, but we just we just love everybody. We love them. God bless us all. And turns out 3 years ago this happened, and players aren't happy with it, and so forth. So
I tell you what I'm going to lean on. I'm going to lean on the character that Dabo Swinney has put out in front of us. I think that's the best thing to go with. I know that you don't like Dabo Swinney, so I don't expect you to do that.
The character that he presents to us.
I'm going to lean on Dabo Swinney's character. I think that's kind of the best way to go. Cale said himself he doesn't think there's a racial problem up at Clemson, so there's that. Okay. So there you go.
I'm sorry.
I don't know where else to go
my question now.
With this.
How would you handle if you're Dabo? Let's do a game. How would you handle it now if you're Dabo? If you're Dabo right now, because he's going to have a press conference, I'm sure. I mean, I know he's rehearsing it right now. If you're Dabo, how do you think he should handle the press conference, and how do you think he will handle the press conference? Let's do this now before the actual press conference, and you defend him afterwards. So how do you think he should handle the press conference that he has?
First of all, I don't know how he's going to handle it.
I mean, prediction. I know we can't see in the future, but how about that? What would you if you were his PR person? If he called you tomorrow, says, "Rob, I'm giving a press conference tomorrow. What do you think? Give me some advice." What would you tell
him? Well, I would tell him that to say point blank, lean on your character, sir. Lean on the academic All-Americans and the young men that have left your program that would love to talk to these young men that have made these comments, and lean on your base, which is your faith, and tell people we don't have a racial problem here at Clemson. I've worked with Coach Pearman, and I think that Coach Pearman is a guy that regrets what he said. You can read his full statement, and then we can go from there. That's what I would tell Coach Swinney to do. Now, Coach Swinney's probably going to come out and he's probably going to be pissed off because he's like, wait a minute. I mean,
he's probably be like, this is stupid. Why should he be pissed off?
And he's probably not going to have the most kosher response. It's going to be the best for the public image.
Mad at the press, right? Should Matt Conley be blamed for this?
Because he handled it 3 years ago internally, Mike.
But he'll be mad at the press.
He handled it 3 years ago internally.
You just said earlier that you posted this. You defended Matt Conley.
It's a completely different thing, Mike.
Whoa. Listen up. Whoa. You just defended Matt Conley a while ago, correct? Correct?
Right.
Okay. So when Dabo says the press, hold on. I'm not going to. If he is mad at the press during this press conference, are you gonna say, well, I don't blame him? Because then he sounds like your typical Twitter taters who are mad at the press. Like Matt Conley did his job. I got a former player on Twitter made a statement, and Matt Conley went and talked to everyone involved and broke the story. He did his job.
I'm not sure where you're going with it.
No, what I'm going is,
you want to.
Do you agree the press did their job in this instance?
I said that at the beginning, Mike.
Okay, so when Dabo was mad at the press, so when Dabo was mad at the press, okay, I'm sorry. If he's mad at the press's press conference, I'm sorry. If he's mad at the press's press,
I'll tell you what. Why don't
are you going to defend him, or are you going to say, Dabo, that looked bad?
Why don't, Mike,
I'm asking you a question.
Why don't we do this, Mike? Can you let me finish? Why don't we wait and see how Coach Swinney handles this with his press conference, and then we'll revisit it. How's that?
Because then you're going to spin it back there. I want to know right now. Do you think?
Not spinning anything.
Okay, I'm asking you right now. If he criticizes the press, are you going to defend him? Because what did the press do wrong?
No.
Okay.
The person? No.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
How long have I known you, dude?
Okay, I'm just making sure.
No. How long have I known you?
I don't want to hear you go, well, man. I don't blame him. It was 3 years ago.
When he had the shit with the strip tease, I thought that was bullshit.
Okay,
No.
I'm just making sure.
With all due respect, sir, you were questioning my character. I want to allow that.
That's what I'm asking you right now.
When the shit came out with the strippers, I said that was bullshit.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I'm asking you a question now that if he goes after the press, okay, will you defend?
You were trying to bring something out of me and trying to pin me to a wall on something.
I'm trying to get your opinion. I'm asking your opinion now. So you're consistent afterwards.
Okay. Just like I did before.
Okay.
That's what I said.
I predict. Now, I mean, listen.
I don't appreciate all that.
If I am wrong, I will admit it. But I believe he'll be confrontational at the press conference. He'll be kind of like the striptease thing. He'll be real kind of like, I can't believe I have to give this press conference. I'm Dabble, for crying out loud. You know me. How dare you press write this stuff?
Well,
that's my prediction. Now, if he doesn't do that,
some actual football now?
If he doesn't do that, I will apologize. I was wrong. But I think we both know Dabo. And we both know what he's going to do. Okay?
But I stand on this. There is not a racial problem at Clemson, period. Write that down. Take a picture. I don't give a damn. There's not a racial problem.
You've got that black mark now on the program. National-wise, people are talking.
On the program. So. Stop it.
No, people.
Let's talk about some football here.
It's going
I've got
national.
Bold predictions here that I found here. Do you want to talk football or not?
Sure. Yeah.
Without question.
Kale wants to talk football. We'll just talk football with Kale. I've got a bold prediction for each. I found this article. It was written a couple months ago, but it's actually kind of cool. It gives you a bold prediction for every SEC team. So I thought I'd throw these at you, and you could tell me if you think this is going to happen or not. For Alabama, Dylan Moses will be the SEC's Defensive Player of the Year in 2020. Are you buying or selling on that, comrade?
Is that really bold, though? I don't think that's bold. I'd buy that.
There's a lot of good defensive players in the SEC. But he's coming back after an injury where he didn't play a full season.
Yeah,
so it is kind of bold. But he's the best player in the SEC on defense out of a repaired knee.
But he's still. He's pretty talented, and he'll be fully recovered. I think I could buy that.
Yeah. What do you think, Kale? Do you think he's going to be the SEC Defensive Player of the Year? Dylan Moses at Alabama.
No, I think R.J. Roderick is.
Really?
No, it's possible. It's possible. I really feel like Saban's going to have this team. I think his team is really going to be good this year. I really do. They got talent coming back. They got some offensive talent coming back to make a run, and that's all part of it. And after what happened last year, just an uncharacteristic season for the Crimson Tide, and I think you go undefeated and roll into the college football playoffs, and I think Moses will be a huge part of that. So I look for Moses to have a huge year. Yeah, I'd say it's possible. You got a lot of good players out there though, so who knows who may become a breakout star.
Yeah. By the way, we forgot to mention this because we were so passionate in the first couple segments. I have set it up where you can call into the show. Wait, what? Yeah, you can actually call into the show. The number to dial if you're watching live tonight is 803-407-2905. 803-407-2905. So,
we should have Beth call in. Call in. Beth Ingram Webb. She said she was at the ladies' clinic and there was no strip show. Video proof says otherwise. She should call in now.
Okay.
What? What's wrong? What's wrong?
Well, either way, if you want to be a part of the show, there's the number 803-407-2905. 803-407-2905. Up next, the next team with a bold SEC prediction this year. Arkansas wins 2 SEC games. Kale, buying or selling?
I don't know that that's that far-fetched. When I got to looking at them, they've got some young talent on that team, and they bring in Kendall Briles as the offensive coordinator, who he was at Florida State last year, correct, for one season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
which that was just an utter shit show, just from the top down. I don't think the leadership at the top of the program there was very good. And Kendall Briles has been known for putting together some high-powered offenses. Of course, studied under his dad. He's from that coaching tree. And then you got Barry Odom taking over defense. Failed as a head coach. It's back where he probably belongs as a defensive coordinator. And I think he'll do a good job there at Arkansas. I don't know about winning 2 SEC games because they do play in the tougher side
In the
of the
West.
conference. But
Right.
both the Mississippi teams could be vulnerable. And when you look at their cross division thing every year, they have. Let's see, who do they have? I'm looking at their schedule right now because we're here to talk about them. From the East,
It's Missouri. They play Missouri.
It's Missouri, which that's a winnable game. That would be a winnable game. And they have Tennessee this year. And look, I mean, I think they'd probably be an underdog there. 2 haven't played in a long time, but I mean, I think they beat Tennessee. It's not like they're playing Georgia or Florida. They skipped those 2. So that's a winnable game for them. So I think, it's probably not likely, but it is a possibility. And I do think they win an SEC game this year. I think they're going to win one. And I would bet on it being either that game at the end of the season against Missouri or the home game against Ole Miss on November 14th.
They do have Felipe Franks, which he is an SEC tested quarterback.
That's huge.
So
huge. Beans and Franks.
I mean, I don't know if Felipe Franks is going to be great, but he's
a trash can. So.
He may be a trash can, but he has played an SEC season, so there's that. He is crazy. You're right about that. Comrade, who you got? They got 2 wins or not?
I think they get 2. I mean, Felipe Franks is he can be horrible at times, but he also can be pretty good at times too. So, I could see him having 2 really good games and winning 2 games in the SEC. I mean, he's good enough to do that. I mean, he's not consistent for crap. I mean, I wouldn't want to rely on him if you're a team that's contending, as Florida found out. But to go ahead and put him out there, and he might have a special Saturday or 2 and carry the team 1 game for a game. Yeah, I think he could do that. So I'll take 2. I think 2-6, 2-6 Arkansas season in the SEC as they try to rebuild in the Chad Morris era.
Yeah, they have to come back from that gong show. My God. Up next. The next thing I've got on here is Bo Nix makes the jump to be the most improved quarterback in the SEC. Kale, are you buying or selling on that? Kale? Yeah, did you hear what I said? I don't know if Kale can hear me or not.
Y'all are lagging like really bad. I can't even see the comrade. I don't know.
Yeah, I know it's network connection, but Cale, I'm going to ask you: do you think Bo Nix will be the most improved quarterback in the SEC?
No, I mean I think he was pretty decent last year. So no. You laugh at me if you want, but I think Ryan Helinski has the ability, has the tools. I think he has the coaching now with Mike Bobo and Joe Cox. I think Ryan Helinski can be the most improved quarterback in the SEC. His footwork was bad last year. He didn't play well in a lot of situations. I think that he was injured a lot of the time, and he was just forced to play out of necessity. But I think that there's a lot of growth there that could happen for that young man. So no Bo Nix.
Comrade, are you on that same trade, or would you go with Lindsay, or would you go with Nix?
I'm not sure I'd go with, but Bo Nix is pretty average to above average last year, and I think that's what he is. I don't see him making a huge jump from that. I mean, I wasn't, early in the year, people were all just crazy about him. But that went over Oregon early in the year, and I didn't. He made a couple good plays down the stretch, but he didn't play well in that game most of the game though. So I don't see that either. I'm not sure who. I mean, Helinski maybe Helinski, but I'm trying to think. I'm racking my brain to see who else put in about. I wouldn't go with Bo Nix though.
Well, Tennessee, you got Guantanamo Bay up at Tennessee, who's a senior. I don't think he's going to show a lot of improvement at this point. You got Terry Wilson at Kentucky, who's a trash can. They also have that Joey Gatewood, who was beat out by Bo Nix for the starting job at Auburn. So, who really knows what that kid can do? I think Kyle Trask at Florida just pretty much came out of nowhere. I mean, the guy hadn't started a damn football game since Pop Warner or his Little League days, and all he does is go out there and guide them to a New Year's Day Bowl win over ACC team Virginia. And then over on the other side of the conference, Kellen Mond, I mean, we already know what he can do. There's not a lot of growth potential there. I'm yet to see about the new LSU quarterback, so you couldn't put them in that category. I guess the kid at Alabama, we'll see what he can do. The new, what is his name, Mac Jones?
Good name.
But they got another young kid there that people are saying will end up being the starting quarterback before the end of the year.
Yeah. I agree with everything Cale said there. I think Helinski has a better chance to be a more improved quarterback than Bo Nix.
Because he was so terrible last year.
Exactly.
Then
Part
again,
was injured.
He played injured a lot of the year, and I don't think that he got anywhere near the level of coaching that he should have gotten.
I agree with you on that. Shout out to Izzo, my friend from the company podcast, which they record their shows on Monday nights. He says if he learns how to set his feet, he can be amazing. But until then, so appreciate Izzo checking out the show tonight.
If you go back and oh shit,
poor Cale. He just flipped his camera.
Don't
eat your phone, Cale.
If you go back and watch that, I'm not. If you go back and watch that game against Appalachian State, or just like the highlights of it, well, I guess they would be low lights. But when he threw that pick six right before the end of the first half, if you watch it, how his feet were just dancing around, it was horrible, man. My fat ass could get out there and sling a damn football better than that.
Cale for SEC quarterback. Probably could.
There you go.
For Florida, this says heading back to Atlanta, they got Florida winning the East, and I do too because I think Georgia's a fraud, but that's just me. I think Florida's going to win the East flat out. Comrade, what you got?
I just don't think I think Georgia's probably just as talented, if not more talented. I just am not sold in their quarterback, and quarterback play is kind of important. It's kind of important when you have two teams that are pretty equal.
Hey, can I make a bold statement here? The SEC doesn't exactly have a lights out great quarterback this year. Can we all agree on that? I mean, there's no Joe Burrow type player. I mean, there really isn't. I mean, who's the best that you got?
Well,
Kellen Mond?
But there's nothing to say that one might not emerge.
Yeah,
who was Joe Burrow on anybody's Heisman Trophy
No.
radar last July when we were laughing at how Trevor Lawrence
I'm not saying that someone may not emerge, Cale. I'm just saying from where we sit right now, we don't have somebody that you can put up there and say this is the beacon of SEC quarterbacks. I mean, you
that's fair.
And Kyle Trask, is that what you got?
That's fair.
Yeah, I like the Ole Miss quarterback. We'll get to them in a moment.
If I'm buying stock of which quarterback will come out of his and play out his ass this year, like a Joe Burrow, I like the Bama kid Mac Jones. From the limited time I saw him, plus he got talent around him.
He tore up some Michigan ass. We'll give him that.
So I think I like what I saw, and of course, as I say before, he's going to have Bama's got tons of talent. They always have tons of talent around him, so that helps too. So that's probably the guy that I could see becoming the household name, the star out of this too. Kellen Mond, I mean Joseph Dixon talking about Kellen Mond. I mean, he shows flashes. I mean, the game he had against Clemson 2 years ago, right? It was 2 years ago at A&M. The game you guys screwed him over with the fumble out of bounds. He would look really good in that game. But he looked horrible last year against you guys. I mean, he had guys open and.
What do you think about What do you think about the about Florida? You like their chances to win?
Yeah,
the East?
They're good, but they don't have just like one star player that just jumps off the page at you. I mean, they are built for speed. I think their wide receiver core is probably better than Georgia's, but Georgia's wide receiver core is talented. I think they'll come on sure. Georgia, hands down, Zamir White, James Cook, much better at the running back position. I think Georgia's offensive line is probably better than Florida's. That's been an issue for them in the past. So it's not going to come down to how stout this defense is. I know Florida really good at the tight end position. It's hard to say. I think that a lot of this stems from we know what we're getting at the quarterback position for Florida. We don't know what we're getting at the quarterback position for Georgia. I mean, you do, but you don't. We've seen him play, against Syracuse, NC State, and damn Duke or whoever the fuck. We haven't seen him play against what's going to be able to do against Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee. So they're totally different animal.
And plus, he's had no spring practice.
It is.
So he's with his new team and no spring practice, in terms of chemistry. I mean, he's going to have to get that through fall practice, which is pretty. Whenever so that's the thing too. If he had all spring practice,
he came from Wake Forest though, so he should be a pretty smart kid.
Yeah,
should be able to pick that playbook up pretty quickly. And I would think Georgia's quarterback playbook is probably pretty simplistic if you put it up against some of your other schools. Just saying, I think they're pretty basic there on offense.
The bold prediction for Georgia from this article is that Newman is going to shine so much that he will be the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Are you buying that?
I mean, as I said before, I just don't. And not that I think he's bad. It's just that I'm not sure how good he is, and then throwing the fact that he's not going to have any spring practice with a new team. So let's just say he's really talented. Let's just say he's Cam Newton. Okay, which someone sees the next Cam Newton. Let's say he's Cam Newton. Okay, if you remember Cam Newton in his year there, he wasn't Cam Newton the first couple weeks of the season. I mean, the Gamecocks almost beat him, and Clemson should have beat him. That was a horrible Clemson team. He didn't really get to be Cam Newton until midway through the year because he was brand new to the team, and that's with having an all-spring practice, okay? So this kid's coming in. Let's say he is Cam Newton. He's got no spring practice with him. So he's coming in kind of, in fall practice, trying to get it done. So right away, I think if he's really good, he's not going to be that great early on in the season. And I don't think he's Cam Newton on top of that. So I just don't see it.
Yeah, Cale, are you buying that too?
Yeah, no. He's going to have a tough. He's going to have a tough road to hoe week 3 against Alabama when we against the aforementioned Dylan Moses, Patrick Surtain, and a very salty defense there. That's going to be a welcome to the SEC type moment for him. So how he comes out of that one, we'll have a lot to say about how he's perceived the rest of the season goes as far as that. But hey, after that, you get past that. I mean, the schedule's pretty dang manageable. I mean, if that does happen, at the end of the season, when they cut Boone's apron strings, that's the head coach from Wake Forest that South Carolina needs to go get because he had a hell of a lot to do with developing him.
Dave Clawson, you're right about that, sir. I like that.
I'm telling you,
up next,
I feel like that.
Yeah, that'd be a great hire for
I'm telling
South Carolina. You're right about that, Cale.
For some reason, I feel that name just
all right.
Up
next,
around.
Yeah. Up next for Kentucky, the bold prediction in this article: in the past 4 seasons, the SEC has had 1,000-yard rushers on the following teams: Georgia, LSU, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. Will Kentucky make it a 5th year in a row where they will have a 1,000-yard rusher? Mike? What do you think, Mike?
I think they're going to throw a little more this year. I'm going to say no. I think they're going to pass a little more this year than in years past. So I'll go no.
Cale, what do you got? Yes or no?
It's very possible because looking at their non-con, they play no one. Their non-con is Louisville, which is obviously the toughest, Eastern Michigan, Kent State, and Eastern Illinois. What is that? Is that the Leathernecks? This guy, A.J. Rose, could easily, I think, have 100-yard games against all of them. And I'm not disparaging Louisville there, but they're not exactly known for defense. You saw last year. I mean, they blew them out. It's possible. It really is because they're not. I don't think they're going to be able to throw the ball this year. If they go with Terry Wilson, they're going to have to hand that ball off a lot. A.J. Rose, and I mean they got a couple of talented backs there though. So you got A.J. Rose. I think the other kid's name is Kavas. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. I don't do good with some of these foreign names. Kavasi Smoke, and a kid named Daniel Rodriguez. All of them combined last year, I think, for over 1,000 yards. So if they're spread the carries out between those 3 young men, I mean, it's possible they may not have a 1,000-yard rusher, but they may have 3 guys that get like 600 yards apiece.
I think they'll have a 1,000-yard rusher, and I think it'll be A.J. Rose, and I'll tell you why. Kentucky returns their entire offensive line, and that offensive line was rated as one of the best in the SEC last year. And Coach Stoops likes to run the ball. He wants to do that. He's got the mentality of we're going to run the ball and play good defense. So I think the 1,000-yard streak continues for Kentucky.
Good offensive line didn't stop them Gamecocks from tearing that ass up last year.
No, I did not.
Oh, they were one-dimensional.
Did not. Like boom defense.
Yeah. That's because That's because Lynn
Lower
Bowden
the
wasn't
boom.
starting at quarterback.
Hold
That's
on.
why,
You think if
you
Lynn
know,
J.
if he'd have
Bowden
been starting at
quarterback
quarterback,
the whole game, you would have won? Cal, you said on
Boom
the show.
got lowered in that one. Boom. Lower the boom.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
you think
Up
one
next,
player scored
LSU.
17 points? He was on the damn field.
Rob, if your eyebrows have grown back since that night,
Yeah, of course they have.
to make sure.
I have blonde eyebrows.
Okay, let's make sure.
LSU back to 10 wins. They think that in this article, back to 10 wins. I've got them at 9. I know Comrade likes them more than that. I think 9 wins is more where I see the Tigers. Comrade, you got them at 10 or 9?
It's not that I like them. I just think that everyone just thinks they're shitty or going to be like so horrible this year that I tend to like to go against the grain of the whole public perception. So if I was a gambling man, which I am, I would like taking the over on their win total because everyone thinks they're a one-hit wonder. I'm not saying they're going to go back and win the West or win the SEC this year, but I would probably put some money down on going over 9.5 and getting to 10.
Kelly, you like LSU for 10 wins?
I do. I think they dropped the game at home to Alabama in a revenge spot. And then I think they're also going to drop one. They're either between at Florida, at Auburn, or at Texas A&M, and then went out on the rest. They got a tough schedule. I mean, they really do. If you look at it, that's got to be one of the toughest in the country. They're non-con other than the game. And I thought they play Texas, but other than that, the non-con is really manageable. And Texas that's a home game. I think LSU will kick their ass. They just will. But that's a tough schedule. I think 10 wins is about all you get there. Because I don't think they're going to beat Alabama in the revenge game, and I think they're going to drop one of those other 3. More than likely, it would be the game at Auburn because you're coming off the game against South Carolina on the 14th of November. Probably going to be a little bit beat up after that one. Probably going to be a tough game there. So going on the road at Auburn after South Carolina is done with you. Don't know what good will. I wouldn't want to be in that position anyway.
No, you're right about that. The young man from the quarterback from Ole Piss, Plumlee. This article says that he's going to rush for 1,100 yards and pass for 2,500 yards. Are you buying or selling on that?
What is it again? What numbers are they? 1,100?
Pass for 25, run for 1,100. Yeah.
Man. Their schedule is not great.
That's big numbers when you think about it. Throw for over 2,000, rush for plus 1,000.
You got to assume he'll be healthy.
Piss and their line.
You got to assume he's going to be healthy all year. That's a big for anybody. I'm not just saying. I mean, anything can happen. So you got to assume he's going to play all 12.
That's a bold prediction, but
I wouldn't go. I wouldn't do. I'd go under on those. Yeah, that's
Kale, what do you think?
His backup, Matt Corral, is the one who's the pocket passer, and I don't know. I mean, if Plumlee makes a few mistakes, fumbles the ball around a little bit, which is going to happen. When he's running the ball like this, how quick is Lane Kiffin going to be to put him on the sideline and insert Matt Corral in? I think he could definitely rush for that many, but the passing yards, I'm not sure about. But look at their non-conference schedule. They start off with Baylor in a neutral site game in Houston, Texas. Baylor's lost a lot of talent off that team last year, which all their coaching is gone too. So I think they'll still be a decent team. I think they'll take a step back. I think they'll be good enough to beat Ole Piss. But other than that, they got Southeast Missouri, UConn, and Georgia Southern. They should handle all those teams with ease. So chance to put up some big numbers there.
Well, some lofty numbers. I'm going on the under there. We have a lot of Tennessee fans that watch this show, especially on the YouTube side. According to this, Tennessee will have a statement win this year over one of the following teams: Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, or Florida. Will Tennessee win one of those 4 games?
I say yes. I probably lean Oklahoma. I could see Georgia. I can't see Bama, but I could see Oklahoma or Georgia. Not both, but I can see one of those.
All right. Cale, you got them winning one of those 4?
I could see them beating Florida at home. That's week 4.
Yep.
Game. I don't see them winning at Oklahoma in week 2. I just don't. Even though they got the tough test in week 1 against Charlotte, they're going to come into that one beat up for sure. So I don't see them going on the road and winning there. But Florida's a team they're familiar with. I could see that one happening. I don't think they go on the road and beat Georgia. That's a road game. Towards the end of the year, when Georgia's normally playing Auburn, and they changed the schedule around a little bit this year because Auburn went and cried to the SEC, want to play Georgia and Alabama.
What a bitch move.
Yes, so close together. It's not fair. If you ever watch the Uncle Lou channel, he does little characters. He has an Auburn fan, an Alabama fan, a Georgia Tech fan, a Florida fan, a Tennessee fan. And the Auburn super fan, all he does, like every other thing out of his mouth, is that's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair. It's not fair. Yeah, I think he could knock off Florida. I wouldn't predict it, but that's a possibility. Give them a little bit of respect there, but they're not beating Alabama, and I don't see them beating Georgia either in Athens.
Texas A&M wins 10 games, or they win 10 games, or our good buddy Jimbo Fisher gets fired.
How much money are they paying him? I mean, he's only been there a couple of years, hasn't he?
Yep.
He's doing no better, no worse than the previous coach did. I mean, every year, they've been like, this team's gonna win 10 games. This is the year. This is the year. This is their year, and it never is their year. They always start out really good, and then they kind of just fall by the wayside and win 7 or 8 games and lose to Wake Forest in the goddamn Music City Bowl or some shit. I'm looking at them right now. They finished 8-5, 9-4, 7-6, 8-5, 8-5. Every year, somebody says they're going to win 10 games. Guess what? History probably going to repeat itself. So, no, I don't think he gets fired if they don't win 10 games because they hadn't won 10 games in goddamn forever.
Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm not sure what his buyout is, number one, and I'm not sure teams are itching to fire people with a big buyout, but their schedule.
Third year.
Yeah, their schedule this year is probably the easiest schedule they've had since he's been there, which is why I kept on wondering why everyone was kind of high in A&M, and I think that's what it is. I'm not sure they think they're great. I think it's because their schedule was really tough last year, and this year by comparison, it's much easier. So that's why people have them really making a big improvement. That's much an improvement, but the fact that they have an easier schedule, easier road. So I could see them maybe getting to 10 wins because of that schedule. But they'll probably go 9-3. They're
trading taters out for Fresno State.
Yeah, baby, that's one.
I think I'd take that one.
And I think they're playing. I think they're they have the Gamecocks, of course, but I think they're. Yeah, that's the big thing. Their schedule, and plus their home games. I think they have better home. They're not going on the road against tougher teams this year. There's more winnable games down there.
They're on the road in consecutive weeks at Auburn and then at South Carolina. God, yeah. I mean, they need to be hollering. That's not fair.
That is true. You're going two programs.
They'll be going to petition the SEC next. You watch.
two programs that Boom has touched recently too. Both have the Boom, smell on them, so it's going to be not going to be easy.
The Boom stench. I don't think they fire him. I think that's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
I mean, next year I can see it now. If we get back to normal and revenue coming in, he doesn't get a job. I mean, next year, I don't think it's this year though.
His buyout has to be huge, but they also got huge money. You know what I'm saying?
They do. They have George Bush money.
Very, 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 very deep pockets.
They got Bush family money. That's the Bush family lives in College Station down there. So
yeah,
we'll see.
All right. Well, the big thing with that is I think the buyout's the big thing there. So anyway, we've got the big thing with Vanderbilt. Does Vanderbilt, if they don't have a decent season, is Derek Mason on the hot seat? There we go.
Comrade? Yeah, I think he's who is the Notre Dame? There's a coach at Notre Dame. I forgot his name now. An assistant coach who's a Vanderbilt grad. It's escaped me, but I think that's the guy they're eyeing. And so I think they're going to let the season kind of play out. And I think Derek Mason will be done at Vanderbilt. And they're going to go ahead and hire that dude is my prediction. What I was hearing before everything went to crap now. Keep that in mind. Before the whole COVID screwed our world up, I was hearing that they were eyeing the guy. And I can't think of his name now. He's a Notre Dame assistant, former Vandy alum that they like a lot. He's kind of the guy that the AD wants. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so
27 and 47 overall at Vanderbilt. This is 7th year, and his teams have went like 4-8, 6-7, 5-7, 6-7, 3-9. Two of those teams had bowl losses, which I mean, is that really the gold standard? That's not what you want. He hasn't built on anything that James Franklin established there. I mean, he hasn't, and he's had some pretty decent talent the past few years. I mean, the Keyshawn Vaughns and the Jared Pinkney, all these kids are gone now. So, I mean, you've got a bunch of unknowns now, and they don't look good for them. Plus, they hired that Ted Roof as a defensive coordinator up there again. How many damn jobs has this guy had? I mean, he's been a shit show everywhere he's been. So, no, I think he probably, if they don't make a bowl game or make some kind of strides this year, which I don't see happening because they just don't have the Jimmies or the Joes to do so, he's going to be out. And I hate it for him because I think he's a good coach. I think he stands up for his players. I think he, he's a guy that develops players. He just, that's a tough job. But you know what? He took it. They didn't just say, hey, motherfucker, you this is your job and you're going to do this shit. This is your job. I mean, he chose to be there. Yeah. But that's a tough job. The academic requirements are so strenuous, and you just don't have the talent. You can't recruit the talent there.
By the way, I gave out the wrong phone number earlier. It's not 407, it's 470. So excuse me for my
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I gave out the wrong number. Chris is like, your phone's broken. My bad, Chris. 803-470-2905. 803-470-2905. That is our number if you would like to call. I messed up. I goofed up. I think I'm like slightly dyslexic. So, Chris, if you would like to call the program, please feel free to do so. In fact,
somebody made a comment. I didn't say that.
What's that?
It says on here it's got Carolina. I'm just looking at the chat. It says Carolina Jackpot, try again. I didn't say that.
Oh, I know. When I type it from here, it does that under both because of the
software. That's where you did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because weird story. Story time, real quick. Back when I was doing the live stream of the lottery scratch ticket, scratch books and stuff, somebody actually, I don't know how it was done, and somebody said that it had to be done by somebody that I had made a moderator on my channel that went in and actually created a fake Carolina jackpot. Like my avatar, everything was the same.
Jeez.
And this fake Carolina jackpot would show up on different scratch people's channels and just say shit like, I hope you have a terrible fucking day. And then when they went to respond to the comment, like, it would be gone. And they're like, someone would be like in my DMs, and he's like, hey, I can't believe you say this shit about me. Thought we were friends. And one of them was a guy that was a friend of mine. He had sent me like a coin and stuff, and I'm like, dude, I didn't say anything. I'm like, what are you talking about? So we had a whole big to-do about that, and that kind of led to my, kind of getting out of that a lot. I mean, there's still a few guys and gals over there that I converse with that have YouTube channels, but that just really pissed me off that someone would go to that extreme to do something so goddamn immature as to create and copy my avatar. And they were actually creating and copying the avatars of other YouTube, well, not people with YouTube channels, but people on, in the YouTube comment section who often participated in the live streams and everything. There was a lady named Eleanor from like down New Hampshire, and somebody created a fake Eleanor to chat in the section. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
It's like people making
a fucking job.
It's like people making fake Adam Schefter accounts on Twitter and trying to fool me.
They've gotten you before, so yeah, there's that. Yeah, that's funny. And finally, the final prediction here is that the end of Will Muschamp at South Carolina. Bold statement here. Maybe not a bold statement. South Carolina wins one game after Halloween. You're November, Georgia at home at LSU, then Wofford. I think you win that game. Then you go to Clemson. That, my friends, is a shitty way to end the season. Gamecocks win one game there, and I think that the stench from all of those losses and the fact that you're not very good, I think that sends Will Muschamp up the road.
Yeah, well, one, it depends how many games they won before that stretch, okay? And two, how they play in those games. If we get our ass kicked and aren't competitive, that's one thing. If they're, if you still see progress and you see them hanging in there, and then that's different. So it depends on a couple things. So yeah, there's a strong likelihood that we don't win a game. We only won one game after Halloween. We're underdogs in all those games with Wofford. So yeah, more than likely that probably will happen, but it depends on what they do beforehand and how they play those games. So,
we'd conceivably be an underdog in all those games if we were a damn 8-9 win team.
Yeah,
those are some tough games.
Yeah, you look at that. I think all of those teams are, with the exception of Wofford, are preseason top 10 teams. So, yeah, I think that's.
If they go out there, if they play, if they play really, really well this year, if some of this talent gets developed early and in a hurry and quickly, you're talking about it's probably not likely. It's possible you could go into that Georgia game as a one-loss team, with one loss being on the road at Florida. And I'm not trying to be I'm not just being dumb or delusional here, but that schedule from Coastal Carolina all the way through at Vanderbilt for Georgia, it's not exactly a murderer's row. It's really not.
Well, I think that if I'm trying to look at it from the idea of the glass half full kind of guy, I don't like your chances at Kentucky, because even when you have a good team, winning at Kentucky's hard. And a lot of teams go up to Kentucky and stub their toe. But I'd like to think that you're a better program than Missouri. I'd like to think that you're a better program than Vanderbilt. I'd like to think that you'd win your non-conference games. I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't know if you have the satchel to play with Tennessee right now. I don't know about that.
Tennessee is Tennessee has a good offensive line. They have lost, but their quarterback play is pedestrian. Their running backs they're average. I mean, hell, one of them just got arrested, so who knows what's up with that dude? But they're pedestrian. Their defense is it's average at best. So I don't. They lost a lot last year. All the firepower off that team that rode a punt return to a victory against us, a lot of that firepower is gone. Marquez Callaway and Jawan Jennings were leaders on that team, and I don't think they replace those two guys that easily. So they remain to be seen. I mean, there's no reason to think that we don't win that game at home. That's a toss-up, and it depends on how we play in those Missouri and at Kentucky games as far as that one goes.
Well, there you go. Bold predictions from around the SEC. Good stuff there from the gentleman on the show tonight. I would love it if before we got out of here, since I screwed up the phone number, if we can get someone to give us a call at 803-470-2905.
I want Nassar Vol to call in and tell me. He says we're going to be better this year. We're going to beat you by 29, and then he changed it to 20. Tell me why you're going to be better. Did you pick another Marquez Callaway or Jawan Jennings off the tree for Jared Guantanamo Bay to throw balls to?
That's a good point.
Just wondering.
Yeah. 803.
It's kind of like when Deebo Samuel left South Carolina after 2018. Everybody was like, "You're not going to be as good. You don't have Deebo Samuel." And I'd get so fucking pissed. I'm like, "Yes, we will. We're going to replace. We're going to turn Shi Smith into Deebo Samuel." And guess what? It didn't fucking happen. and our offensive production dropped off dramatically to the tune of about like 100th in the country. But I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it because Boom was our coach, and we he was going to turn him around. He's going to develop somebody else, turn him into another Deebo Samuel, and guess what? The dream didn't come true.
Ended up being in the shitter. By the way, just real quick, Kale, give us the stat you sent me this morning. You sent me a stat this morning. What was it? The Will Muschamp has never finished higher than
the highest that he has ever finished. As far as total offense, in his 7 years as a head coach between South Carolina and Florida, is number 64 in the country.
Never finished better than
ain't good.
Never finished better than 8th in the SEC.
Ain't good.
That ain't very good.
Ain't good at all.
Well, hopefully someone will call us when we have our show on Sunday. I screwed that up. So, yeah, there's that. My fault, fellows. My fault.
You'll have to watch how they do that on the Uncle Lou show. Watch tomorrow night. He does a live show on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. And he streams one. And he has people call in. And last night he did something he's never done before. He had fan versus fan that he did. People in the comment section would say, "I'll do it," and another one will say, "I'll do it." So he kind of reserves it, and they both call in and kind of go at it at once. And Pigskin Pete actually was on there, and he went at it with an Alabama fan, and then he had an Auburn fan and a Georgia fan go at it. And that didn't turn out so well for the Auburn fan. He kind of got dominated, but that was pretty cool.
Well, we had our first caller, but they hung up on us. So there you go with that. But, yeah, hopefully that'll work out well for us. And I think I've got it set up now where you can join the show with us. So that looks like that'll be some fun, Kale. Don't you agree?
It does. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right, gentlemen.
There you go.
I think with that, this show is a wrap. Thanks a lot, guys. All right. Hey,
thanks, guys.
Before you guys leave,